Mr. Speaker, there is nothing that I fear more for America than that as a country we might allow ourselves to grow numb to human atrocity in our own country and across the world. 8 years ago, President George Bush warned that, quote, to begin withdrawing before our commanders tell us we are ready would mean surrendering the future of Iraq. Quote, it would mean that we'd be risking mass killings on a horrific scale. It would mean increasing the probability that American troops would have to return at some later date to confront an enemy that is even more dangerous, unquote. Mr. Speaker, many of us in Congress warned President Obama, both in a private letter and in open declaration, of the danger that ISIS represented as it began to rise in Iraq. We also warned the President that negotiating with terrorists by trading high-level Taliban leaders would lead to an increase in terrorists trying to leverage America and the world by taking hostages. Yet this President ignored this and so many other common-sense warnings. And atrocity after atrocity has occurred since. And today, Mr. Speaker, the world watched in abject horror as 26-year-old Jordanian pilot, First Lieutenant al-Qasasbeh, who was taken captive by ISIS, was doused in gasoline, placed in a cage, and burned alive. Mr. Speaker, this horrifying tragedy is the natural end to the timorous policy of appeasing or negotiating with or neglecting to have a just response to this mindless, heartless, evil cancer called ISIS. And the question occurs, when will this president respond decisively to hellish evil? Will it take a direct attack on American shopping malls? Will it take a direct attack on an American grocery store or a school or an American magazine or some other venue where American blood will have to be spilt before this president calls the evil of global jihad for what it is? It has been a full year since ISIS retook Fallujah and wiped out America's blood-bought gains. And it has been a full 7 months since 55 of my colleagues and I beseeched the President to prioritize security and humanitarian support for religious minorities in Iraq, including the Yazidi people, a people group that has now been nearly wiped out completely by ISIS. Mr. Speaker, this administration can no longer claim ignorance. This nation is at war with Islamist groups like ISIS that support and perpetrate the terrorism of global jihad. Terrorists understand it all too well. The American people understand it all too well. And it is time that this White House begin to understand it as well. Mr. Speaker, if the Obama administration continues to sit on the sidelines and allows this unspeakable act of terrorism we have all witnessed today to go unanswered, as it has so many times before, we invite that sinister malevolence to our own shores.